Hi viewers, welcome you once again to Micro Learning. This is Shailaja. So, this is a continuation of the fourth chapter. The fourth chapter speaks about the consumption function and investment function. So, today you are going to see 4.2.4. Under that, we are going to see consumption function is being divided into two. The one is subjective factor, the other is called as the objective factor. So these are supposed to be, what are they? Keynes has divided this into two. That is, consumption function has been divided into two. Subjective factor as well as objective factor. Previously we have seen Keynes' psychological law of consumption. Okay, and he has predicted that as income increases, consumption also increases, but not to the level of the income rise. Your consumption increases. Part of it has been kept aside for as saving. So here Keynes has divided the factor of consumption into two. One is subjective and the other is objective factor. Now we are going to see what are the subjective factors. Now when we talk about subjective factor, okay, when we talk about the subject, it's about the motivation of an individual. What does he think? How does he like to spend? How does he likes to keep a part of his income for other purposes, for his future? So the first one says the motive of precaution. Precaution means it's a safety measure which we keep it for our future, because unforeseen expenditure incurs. At that time, money is essential. Example, I have given us accidents and sickness. Okay, these are supposed to be unforeseen expenses which incurs. So money is kept as for a motive of precaution. Next one says motive of foresight. That is foresight during old age. People are in need of money. So when they are young, they get more income and they try to save it and keep it for their old age purpose. Next one is motive of calculation. That is, they see how much of interest would they get by keeping their money saved. So that is another subjective factor. Next is going to be the motive of improvement. How you want to improve your living standard. Okay, so this is also supposed to be a subjective factor. So a desire to enjoy for improving the standard of living. The fifth one says motive of financial independence. Okay, how independent you are going to be with your finance, so that you need not depend upon anyone for financial assistance. Sixth one says motive of enterprise. That is, a person who is doing business always thinks about, he forecasts about the future. He studies about the past. He makes a comparison and then only he enters or he invests into the business as such. Next is motive of pride. Okay, that is for your fortune. And the last one said motive of avarice, purely misery. Now next one we are going to see. Keynes sums up the motive as precaution, foresight, calculation, independence, enterprise, and pride of avarice. So the government institution and business corporation and firms may also consume mainly because of the following four motives. So first one is motive of enterprise. Okay, so the desire to obtain the resources to carry out future capital investment without incurring debt. Suppose enterprise does not want to incur debt. What should he do? He should use his capital investment in such a way so that he can utilize the resources to the fullest extent. Motive of liquidity. Okay, people like to have cash in hand because we do not know when does emergency comes. So that we call it as motive of liquidity. Cash in hand, holding cash in hand for any emergencies. Next one is motive of improvement. The desire to secure a rising income and to demonstrate successful management. So you want to improve on your business. You want to invest on new technologies. So for that you need income. So if you want a successful management, you should be able to rise up to your income. Next one is motive of financial prudence. So the desire to ensure adequate financial province against depreciation and obsolescence and to discharge debt. So according to Keynes, subjective factors do not change in the short run. Hence, consumption function remains stable in the short run. So consumption function remains stable in the short run. Okay. Next, we are going to see about the objective factors. Now let us see what are the objective factors. Objective factors are external factors, that is taking outside the industry or outside the firms. These factors can be easily changed in the long run because we have a very long time to adjust everything. So the major objective factors influencing consumption functions are supposed to be income distribution. Okay, what does this income distribution says? Income distribution, you can see always the rich are richer and the poor are always poor. So when you look at the consumption pattern of these people, the consumption pattern for the rich people is very low. Rich people consume very less, but poor people consume high. Rich people save a lot. Poor people are not able to save to the greatest extent because their income is not sufficient as well. So there is a wide gap between the rich and the poor. So the high propensity to consume is more among the poor than the rich. Next is price level. Price plays a very important role. Okay, because price determines the consumption function. So people will try to move if the prices are more for a particular commodity. That is, they go for alternatives. The next one we are going to see about the wage level. The wage is not the same for everyone. So wage plays a very important role in consumption function. So expenditure will rise if your income rises or the wages rises. If it does not rise, there will be a downward fall. Next one is interest rate. Interest rate plays a very important role in the consumption function. Say for example, the rate of interest is increased by from 7% to 9%. So what do people do? They are attracted towards the interest. So they do not spend it for consumption. They use that money for savings. So what happens? Consumption reduces and saving increases. So interest rate plays a very major role. Next is fiscal policy. The decisions that are taken by the government. Okay, that is in collecting the tax. Okay, what are the disposable incomes? What is the level of propensity to consume by an individual? So are we following a progressive tax? If you have a progressive tax, what happens? As income increases, the tax also increases as such. Okay, so that from the rich people, taxes are collected more. Next, we are going to see about the consumer credit. What do you mean by consumer credit? The avail of consumer credit, okay, at easy installment will encourage households to buy consumers' durable goods. Okay, why? Because if the consumers are given good credit facilities at a low rate of interest, people would like to buy more commodities. So, next one is demographic factors. Demographic is nothing but a study about the population. As the family size is being increasing and increasing, what happens? The consumption becomes lower. Okay, because we have to spend, if there are 4 members in a family, 4 children in a family, the 4 has to be educated. Okay, nowadays bringing up one child itself is a very difficult task. So if we have 4 children, we have to invest on them for education. So demographic factors plays a very, very great major role in consumption, because if the size of the family is going to be high, the consumption is going to be very less. The size of family is going to be very less, the consumption pattern will be entirely different. So now we are going to see Dewberry's hypothesis. What is hypothesis? Proving a particular statement true or false. So, Dewberry has made two observations regarding factors affecting consumption. First one is consumption expenditure depends upon always on the current income. Okay, but also past income and standard of living. So your standard of living also depicts a person's consumption level or his living standard. As the individual are accustomed to a particular standard of living, they continue to spend the same amount on consumption even though their current income is reduced. So consumption is influenced by demonstration effect. That is, the consumers' standards of low income group are affected by the consumption standard of high income group. So the poor people, they want to imitate the consumption pattern of the rich. So most of them are attracted towards the rich people's living. So they try to spend a lot on the consumer products, because for fantasy purpose they do these things. So this is Dewberry. Next is winless gains or loss. Both may happen, okay, or maybe one can happen. So unexpected changes in the stock market. Sometimes there is gain, sometimes there is loss. So maybe the stock market gain is more, or it may crash also. So vice versa, two ways it is, both ways it is being affected. So you have a worksheet. Your first question goes, name the two factors of consumption function. List down the subjective factors suggested by Keynes. List down the four motives followed by government, institution, business, corporate under consumption function. List down the objective factors of consumption function. Explain any three subjective or objective factors consumption function. So this is supposed to be a book back question, subjective and objective factors of consumption. Please go through the slides once again and write down the answers for these questions for worksheet. So those who are watching the channel for the first time, please like, subscribe and comment and share your views to Micro Learning Shailaja. Thank you very much.